From sketch to first fitting is the most stressful time. A lot of designers do things different, but I like to have free consultations via text and phone. I like to have my clients fill out a Google form describing their goals and their deadlines before I even really get into this step of the process. I want to know that they know what to expect from me and everything is clearly documented all along the way. I can always share why I do things the way I do, but it's usually just nightmare stories that build us to this point. Now, once you move past that phase, a deposit is dropped because the client trusts you with the next steps. The understanding between the two of you is around deadline and quality of work and just understanding the pacing of things. So if you have a client who's newer or you're newer and you want to make sure that you're protected and they're protected as well, go ahead and, just make something simple. I promise to have this garment to you on X day. These are the deadlines that I expect to work with you on. If there's any delays and approvals on your side, they might have delays on our side as well. Things like that are what builds you into a business owner and not just a friend who sews something for someone else. What do you bring to the first fitting? I bring my little waist satchel. I put my pens, pencils, Sharpies. I got my notebook that is keeping all of the kind of running notes on the project all in the same place. And I'm making sure to reference back to conversations we've had before that I've jotted down notes on. I am making sure that this is all packaged in a bag ready to go the night before so that I am not obsessively thinking about it and forget something at the last minute. Also make sure to bring pins. Safety pins are my favorite. Be sure to bring your tape measure. You can even choose to bring a seam ripper and that kind of a thing. If you create like an on-the-go sewing bag for these fittings, it'll be a lot easier than manually finding these things over time. So just build up your duty belt, make sure it's ready to go at a moment's notice, and don't borrow things from your studio to bring along with you. It needs to have its own purposeful pack of things already built into it. Something that a lot of us who have worked in alterations for bridal are used to bringing along is also just like a thin piece of ribbon. If a garment is too big, you can just pin it up and it's easy. You take it home and you understand that. If a garment is too small, using a small piece of ribbon with a couple safety pins on either side where the gap is can help you pinpoint where the extra space needs to be added, because adding space to the side seam is not always the answer. So we've all got that behind us. This is taking the pattern from the client's measurements that you've done in your initial 1-hour meeting with them after deposit, and you are building out the dream. I like to split things up and understand what's happening next. First, if you don't already have a pattern block for this client, you need to take the measurements that you've already taken from the client, compare them to their standard size chart in Pattern Making for Fashion Design, and go ahead and make a basic block pattern. So first you make the basic pattern block. For this client, I need a dress. So I need a bodice, front and back, skirt, front and back, and sleeve. In our case, the sleeve is going to be highly specialized. So for my first fitting, I do not care about that sleeve. If your client has pointed out that movement and freedom and ease are all things that are important to them in this final garment, the first fitting is where you're going to make sure that that can happen. If there is any changes I need to make, I am writing these down in my notebook. If the waistline is not quite straight across, this is where I take my pencil out and mark the gap. Next, we're going to look at the back of the garment. Since for me it was a symmetrical back bodice, I looked at both sides. Was it laying right? Perfect. Was there a little extra ease that I liked, disliked? These are the things I'm noting down. If there's just too much fabric, pin that up. I use safety pins so that the client is not harmed in the process. It just makes life a lot easier. And when I get home, the safety pins are still in place. I don't have to search and make sure that I wrote down something correctly. I'm going to mark it with my pencil on the garment. I'm going to safety pin it, and I'm going to write it down in my notebook so that I have a to-do list as things go down. If your first fitting is done in under an hour, but still feels a little messy, a little kind of all over the place, just break things down top to bottom, one pattern piece at a time. Check your notes, and you're probably on the right path.